Okay. All right. So we rock and roll. We just do it like
No
that.
doubt. For
Yeah. So how you doing,
I'm
my
good.
bro?
I'm
I
good.
appreciate you,
Nah, I
bro.
appreciate you, man. Longtime fan, so it's definitely an honor to be able to finally speak to you after all these years. For everybody
Yeah.
logging on right now, this is History Lesson, episode 95. I am with the Rhyme Inspector, the legendary Percee P. And like I said, thank you again for joining me tonight.
Oh yeah. Thank you, bro, for
Uh,
having me.
we got about an hour
Yeah.
to get into a little history lesson. You've got such a lengthy discography, but we'll try to cover everything possible within
Yeah.
this time. If we can jump right into it, can you take us back to where you were born and raised?
In the South Bronx. I was actually born in Brooklyn. To be honest, I was born in Brooklyn's Women's Hospital, but my mom's living in the Bronx. She met my father in Brooklyn, but she had me in Brooklyn's Women's Hospital, but I grew up in the Bronx, like as a baby infant. But I grew up in a housing project called Patterson Houses in the South Bronx. My mom said she moved there when I was like 2 years old. So, and I was born in '69, so that to show you the timeline, chronological
Right,
as far as with hip hop. So that's right at that cusp, just coming into it,
exactly.
and I just grew into it. So park jams, everything, all around. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? 18 Park, different locations, park jams all over. Family members.
What was the day in the life like of Percy P growing up in the projects as a teenager?
Um, banging on people's cars, sitting with my homeboys, leaning on people's cars,
Yeah,
rhyming outside, banging in the wintertime in the building, in the project, banging downstairs in the first floor, lobby area in the back. Like you're gonna cut out through the back. There's like an area where you put fire hose. So I used to bang on that. A lot of people knew me for banging and rhyming. Even in high school years, they knew me for banging and rhyming at the same time.
right.
So, that's what it's like, just in the hood, cats just hanging around and talking about hip hop or MCs, depending on the time. When the 80s start rolling around, late 80s, you start talking about people you hearing on the radios, but it was that. But I grew up with like the tapes, Park Jams, um, T Connection tapes, those kind of tapes like that. Disco Fever, Stardust, Ballrooms, all those kind of Park Jams, Bronx River Center tapes. So I grew up with that kind of stuff to listen to, but I just held on to my tapes and stuff, from my oldest brother.
What kind of obstacles, if any, did you have to endure growing up in the Patterson projects?
Well, like any other housing project in the hood, you got a lot of, back in that time, you had a lot of gang activity. So if you ever saw like the Warriors,
Oh yeah.
it was gangs really like that. Like I had like one of my music videos called Put It on the Line. I actually showed footage. It's actual footage from that time period, which when you see that movie, what movie that came out? The Get Down. You saw
Yep,
that?
yep, yep.
That a lot of that footage is I had mine came out. My video came out like 2005. So when I saw that, it was like wow, it kind of expounded on what I was trying was showing in the music video, but they made an actual, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? A whole series about it. You know what I'm saying? That time period. So it wasn't like I just the director actually his name was Dewey FM for that video. He's from Philly. And I remember I was on a tour with like Mad Lib and all these guys. So I was on a tour with this guy named Dobry. We went to Philly, we did a show, and that's why I met the guy. And then he was saying that, he want to shoot a video. If you notice me in that video, I was standing outside at nighttime, just a nighttime scene video. So just two takes, one side of the street, cross the other side of the street, and did another take straight through. I came on another tour with Mad Lib and all these guys, on a Stone Store tour, and he came up to me like, yo, I don't know if you remember, I'm the guy who shot the video. Yeah, I remember. Yo, check this out. Bam, he gave me the VHS tape. DVD. I went on the tour bus and threw it in, and he edited, took the footage from all the documentaries. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying, and put it in there, and it kind of coincided what I was rapping about. But the timing, like, the timing was good. So but that's what it was basically like that. Just visually, if you see that video, you saw it like in the '70s. The blackout, a lot of abandoned buildings
right.
burned down, and really that was a lot of the land owners. You know what I'm saying? The landlords burning stuff down. You know what I'm saying? Like racism.
Right.
And that's what it really was. If you want to, get to the point. But yeah, it was that. It just burning up a lot of places that maybe the poor community would come to, and they just burned it down. So that's what was left for somebody like me growing up in that environment. These park jams and stuff was like the get it, you know what I'm
Right,
saying? An outlet for anybody. You know what I'm saying? But that was the norm if you grew up in that environment. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Uh,
So it's been like that for a long time.
as a
Yeah.
teenager growing up, before you got into hip hop, what was some of your earlier musical influences?
My uncles, radio. I remember like this radio station like disco KTU, 92 KTU, like disco, because disco was the thing, you know what I'm saying? Then you had a lot of the slow jams and a lot of the early like the 70s music and basically like just black music, like Blue Magic, Stylistic, the Jackson Fives, all that kind of stuff until hip hop kind of came in the disco records that was out. And hip hop kind of just took from everything and just because when you went to at a park jam, you just didn't hear breakbeats. You heard what you heard on radio. They just played music until like a certain time, and they'll just start playing like these breaks. And when the MCs get on, then it just turned to just breakbeats and rapping. But a lot of times, if you had a jam, you heard a lot of stuff that you might have heard on the radio. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? It's hit songs though,
Right,
song like Chic,
right,
Good Times. You know, you heard something like that just being played. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe the MCs would have probably wanted to rap over that break when they got on the mic. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So that always been like that for like the park jams. Even when like a record like Don't Look Any Further by Dennis
right,
Edwards, a song like that when that was like a hit song. But when that came out, people was rapping off that, you know, at the park jams. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So that's what it was basically like. You know what I'm saying? A lot of obscure breaks and stuff. You know, for the b boys. I'd always say the closest thing to a park jam to me is going to a b-boy event. So if you go to like a b-boy battle or like in the Bronx called like Katona Park Jams, because that's where you're going to hear the original tracks that you might have heard at park jams. If you go to like regular like hip hop function with rappers, you're going to basically hear more like instrumentals and songs of that people have made records off of. But park jams, I mean, like b-boy competitions, that's where you hear break beats, original records and stuff. A lot of, so that's the closest that I would say getting to a park jam is going to like a b-boy event, like a b-boy summit or freestyle session or in the West Coast on Rocksteady Anniversary, you know stuff.
Right. Would you say those were some of your earliest memories of seeing hip hop firsthand, the B-Boy Summit, the Park Jams?
The B-Boy Summit. Oh, the park jams was like basically like right there. Like I grew up in a project, so like a park like 18 Park. That's the big park in Patterson Projects. But a lot of projects is in the Bronx. So like in the South Bronx, there's a lot of different housing projects, and these different housing projects had their little jam parks where they could throw jams. So in Patterson, you had 18 Park, then you had the Square, you had the other side. On my side, we call it the other side, like the south side of the project. Um, so it's like three different locations. And then you had Clark Park that's on like 145th Street and one between 145th and 144th on Third Avenue. That's you know what I'm saying, Clark Park. You had a lot of surrounding areas. You had St. Mary's, you had North Church, you had Mitchell's Gym, you had Melrose, Jackson Projects, Mont Haven Projects, the Dome, we call it the Dome. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
Yeah, IS-23. Also, any park where people would have probably played basketball, that could have been, that was like a central spot with cats to throw a jam at, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or in the projects, in house parties. When the wintertime comes, you have community centers, like every project has their community center. So like Patterson Center would have been like, oh, we're gonna throw something inside because it's cold outside. So people just kind of want to, or in somebody's house parties. You know what I'm saying? DJ in the bedroom, speakers out in the living room. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
What was your first moment that you got involved in the hip hop? Most artists would say they were dancers or DJs. What was Percy P's first foray into hip hop?
Well, I mean, I was always around it. Like I started rhyming in '79. You know what I'm saying? I started rhyming. I was like 10. But at that time, that's when Rapper to Light and records like that came out. So it was the norm to be trying to recite these songs that was hits. So that's kind of what inspired me. But I saw the part jams already. So you see with Cool Hurt with 73. So I was around to see a lot of it. But by the time the MCing came, you know what I'm saying, by 77 to 79 when records started coming out. So that kind of made me want to
Right.
rhyme. And then you had Mr. Magic and Marley Marl and you know, all these different radio stations, Red Alert, start playing music on radio. So you listening to more music and that kind of inspired me to want to make a record one day. You know, I just listened to the regular stations like everybody else would.
Right. Can you take us back to some of your earliest memories of paying dues, trying to get on?
Well, I always was paying my dues. I never stopped. Like I said, when I was 10, rhyming outside, banging on the windowsill, um, banging in the buildings, outside people's cars, going to house parties, asking the DJ in the room, yo, can I get on the mic? He might have had headphones, you rhyming through headphones, making pause tapes, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? I'm sure everybody did that, but when you ain't had no DJ, you just made a pause tape and rapped over that with a handheld cassette player, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
recorder, and just rapped over yourself off the pause tape or recording on that handheld. Um, DJs, if you had, that DJ, anybody that you knew DJ, you might want to go make a tape. That's before you was making records. The MCs would just be like trying to get a tape, make a tape at somebody's house, just rhyming over breaks, whatever. So that was like paying dues, rhyming outside, like how when me and Lord Finesse got into it, that was part of the paying dues. You just heard about somebody, they hear about you, well, he nice, they want to battle. That was like kind of just letting people know you still got skills, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like no animosity, but that was just like a graph writer getting up. Us just making sure cats know who he is. You know what
No
I'm saying?
doubt. Big shout out to Big D from Ultramagnetic. Um,
Yeah, shout out
no
Big D,
doubt.
man. Yeah, and Easy Mo
Take me
B.
back to Gotham City Records in '88.
Gotham City Records, my man Aaron D, rest in peace to that brother. He's from Patterson Projects too, and just like my partner, Denique the Hypnotic Performer, he's also from Patterson Projects. But Aaron D was with a label called Gotham City Records out in Queens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron was already working in the studio in Power Play Studio with Ivan DJ Doc Rodriguez. So we used to go to his sessions, me and my partner, Denique. We used to go to his sessions in Long Island City and just, while he'd go, that's how we met Doc. So we would just be around Aaron's sessions and just to go to experience, you know what I'm saying? And Aaron told the guys from the label about me and my partner, Denique, and they said to him, well, if they can make a good song, I'll put it on the record. So because we already met Doc already, we just went in the studio with the track. If you heard, we sampled, you know what I'm saying, and just made Let the Homicide Begin. I wrote the beginning of the song. We went kind of back and forth with my partner, and the rest is history. And that came out in 1988.
Right.
But like when it dropped, the first people that ever played the song was DNA Hank Love Show on 105.9 WNWK. They was playing it like weekly rotation. Then Red Alert picked it up and started playing on Kiss FM. Like from 88 to 89, you could hear this audio on like 1989. I posted on my IG where you have the whole track list, a link where people could click on it. You could hear a whole Red Alert Show and Let the Homicide Begin in that playlist as well.
Dope.
So that's the 80s. And then the 90s come around, Stretching by Vito.
Right.
The third show that they had on the air was the first time I was there. But he invited me to the second show. I didn't show up. So the third show was the first time I was down there. And I was rhyming with Large Professor. And when you see that movie that they did, the Large Professor scene, with him rhyming, we rhyming together.
Okay.
Me, him, Joe Fatal, and somebody else. But in the movie, they just spliced out apart.
Ah.
But I met Large Professor actually in Pete Rock House, hanging with my DJ at the time, DJ E. Kim. We were just DJs. You know how they hang together, just cutting and digging. So me and my partner and E. Kim, we went out to Pete Rock House with Dr. Butcher, DJ Dr. Butcher, and we all was over there, and that's how I met Large Professor. So when I went to Stretch Armstrong's show for the first time, he was called DJ Skinny Bones at the time, and he was there. I remember Large Professor there, and he was writing the rhyme. And when Stretch asked us to rhyme, Large Professor was reading off the paper. The rhyme that he was writing is the verse that you hear in his song Live at the Barbecue.
Oh wow!
So he was writing that, said it with me, rhyming with me. This is 1990, November 29th. And the reason why I know the date, because in the movie they date all the freestyles. You can see it on the screen. So November 29th, 1990, Large Professor rhyming, and he's spitting the rhyme that you hear on Live at the Barbecue before it was recorded. And my rhyme became the rhyme that you hear on Yes You May, Lord Finesse. So I spit that rhyme with him. So both of us spit rhymes that became songs. You know what I'm saying?
If we can back up just a little bit, how did life change for you after Let the Homicide Begin dropped?
It felt good to go outside because I was an avid listener of radio, so I stayed tuned to Red Alert, Mr. Magic, Chuck Chill Out, DNA, Hank Love Show, Awesome Too, like all the shows that back and forth. Just turn this when this station is on. If I had two radios, I'd be on this station and listen to this station. Or if I heard something I didn't like, I'd switch it over to this station and just record that and pause it after the song and go just channel surfing, trying to make a tape for my Walkman. You know what I'm saying? Back then, you made a tape to go back to school and, yo, did you hear Red Alert this week or Mr. Magic? You know what I'm saying? So it was just like that. That's what life was like for me growing up. But that inspired me, you know what I'm saying? Because I was just saying to myself, like, damn, I want to make a record one day. And actually, the first time I ever was in a recording studio recording my own song, it wasn't like the Homicide again. It was the Almighty KG from the Cold Crush. He was the first person to ever put me in a professional studio. There was a guy named Kenny Scott. He had a K-Rock studio in the Bronx, and KG brought me to that studio, and I recorded a song called "Don't Bite My Style." I don't have a recording of it now, but KG was on the intro of the song. He talked on it, and then it was just me rapping. But yeah, that song and rest in peace to Kenny Scott. He got killed in the studio.
Rest in peace.
Too, so
can you
yeah. So
can you take me back to how the battle with Lord Finesse came about in '89?
This guy named Anthony Webb. He's from my project too, Patterson Project. But if you actually go on my Instagram, anybody out there watching, if you go on my Instagram, I put a lot of my history, but you'll see a post where we commemorate that rap battle. Me and Lord Finesse, July 13th is the date of the battle. July 13th, 1989. But if you find that post, you'll see the picture of Tony Webb, like current picture of him now, and you see the cameraman, my man Dave Gonzalez. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you'll see Dave is in there too. And he's the one who videotaped the battle. So how the battle set off was Tone knew Finesse from high school, and I guess they knew each other, snapping in class, all that kind of stuff, but just instigating. Yeah, my man Percee eat everybody in Forest Project. That's where Lord Finesse is from. But he'll come back to the project saying the same thing to me. Yo, P, some cat named Finesse from Forest. He said, hey, eat you and everybody in Patterson. I was like, you can't mess with my man P. So, just enough of that. And me and my man Danique went up to Forest Project, and that's where Finesse is from, Diamond, Fat Joe. So we went up there looking for him. I asked, yo, Finesse? And he did the same thing, coming around Patterson with AG. He knew AG already. And I heard they had a battle. Him and AG had a battle. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's how they met. And my partner, Danique, had a battle with AG. And we all from the same project, but I was there when he battled AG. That's a little history that wasn't videotaped, but I was there. Right.
So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Tone Webb, I guess, when Finesse finally he came around, he was coming back and forth. Every time I come out, people would be like, "Yo, this cat looking for you." I thought they were lying at first, but one day I was at my man Woo's house. This cat named Woo from the project. So I was at his house, and AG knew all the people who I would be around, who I hung around. So he brought him to Woo, called him out the window. Yo, Woo, what's up? Yo, person up there? He said, yeah. He said, yo, Finesse down here. He looked out the window, and he was down there. So we went down. It's like a big crowd, like something big brawl about to happen. So my man Dave was like, hold on, let me go get my camcorder. So we went on the other side of the project, my side, and went in front of 315 East 143rd Street. That's the landmark for all those historians and documentarians. But so, that's where we went. And we stood outside waiting for him to get his camera. And then my man Danique, my partner, had his radio playing tapes that I just like have. I walked around with tapes on me, like break beats and stuff, just throwing the radio. We wanted to rhyme. So Danique had his radio. I threw on a tape, had Funky Joe. We kept winding it back. Dave had his camcorder, and the rest is history. And that was the smartest thing we did, because we could have just went at it. But luckily we got that camera, because that's how we all have it to see it now.
Right.
And never knowing we were going to create history. You know what I'm saying?
So how eventually did you get down with Lord Finesse?
Well, we never had animosity. Even from like we once we met, we never was like on some. We was basically like curious. Yeah, he Tone gas. Yeah. Nah, but let me hear what you got, because he was talking. We both competitive, so it's more like, all right, so let's go over there. So when Dave came down with his camcorder, everybody standing around. If you look, you could see like people with kids standing around with babies, and the garbage right there, the garbage bag parked to the side. You could tell it's old and black and white, the tracking. all of it. But that's how it went down. You know what I'm saying? The mind frame that we was in was basically like real competitive. Like, I want to see what you got. I heard he saying you nice, and he thinking the same about me. So after that battle, it wasn't like we had animosity. We gave each other, "Hey, you nice," but it was his second album. I didn't even know he was coming out with an album. When he battled me, he didn't have no record out yet. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Can you hear me? So he didn't have nothing out yet when he battled me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But when his first single dropped, I remember some of the rhymes from the battle. Oh, yo, it's this cat out battle. Yo, this is him. And I think it was like "You Nasty, Baby," something
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
You hear the rhymes. And he said some of the rhymes, and even some of my rhymes became records, like Long Collapsing Lyrics. If you heard my song Long Collapsing Lyrics, that's the second verse of the battle. And then if you hear the first rhyme I said in the battle became my song Throwback Rap Attack. And Let the Homicides Begin came out a year before that. I spit that on the third round of the battle. And I even heard a line or two from Putting Heads to Bed, my song Putting Heads to Bed. But that's what we did. We basically was spitting what we wrote. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Just going back and forth, because I wasn't no cat. People would say freestyle, but to me, freestyle in my time coming up, freestyle was just busting a rhyme.
Gotcha.
Like, if you had a rhyme, you wrote some, and I wrote some, and we're gonna freestyle. We're gonna get on the air. So when you heard people like Mr. Magic would be like, "Yo, we're gonna when we come back after this commercial, we're gonna have so down here. They're gonna freestyle." That meant just busting a rhyme. Ain't mean you have to be rhyming off the head, spontaneous, unwritten verses. That mean whatever you just gonna say, it's gonna be live. They're gonna be doing this live, so you can record it. Nowadays, cats is defining like freestyle as something that you didn't write down, just spitting. I would say spontaneous, unwritten verses. I don't rhyme that way. I'm master. I write and then I recite what I wrote.
Gotcha.
Because think about it. When people say, "Oh, that," they be like down on cats for writing rhymes. But I said, think about Big Daddy Kane was spitting rhymes he wrote. Rakim, all these guys, right?
Exactly.
These are rhymes they
Right.
wrote, and they just memorized it, went in the studio, laid it down, and boom. Nowadays, and now it's an art form. If you can rhyme up the head without writing, that's an art form. There's a lot of cats that could do that. My man Thurston Howell, you got Super Nat, you Juice. You got a lot of dudes that's dope with it. That's a talent in itself. But you should never judge cats if they write rhymes like they not good. Like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's like if somebody tell you to sing a song, but you can't sing nothing you practice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be better something that you rehearsed. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But that's how they're judging it. So now, and I would say, if people battle, they should make up the rules from the top. Like, all right, if it's a battle, then let it be all off the top of the head rhymes, spontaneous, unwritten, no written verses. But to me, a battle should be whoever did the best each round. So if you choose to rhyme off the head, you want, but somebody's spitting some crazy ill bars that they wrote and it's better, he should win. It shouldn't be about, oh, you're written. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Unless you make that the rule, you can't say nothing you wrote.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think most people want to hear what I wrote, something that I wrote down. If you're a Percee P fan, I think everything you heard and liked, I wrote that. Even the rhyme on 91 See Me, my DJ E. Kim, I wrote his whole verse and I told him how to say it. Then we went in the studio and recorded it.
Dope. So at this time,
Yeah.
Finesse is getting ready to go into his sophomore album, Return of the Funky Man. What is your relationship like with him going into his sophomore album?
Now we was cool, but he never had animosity. It was AG that came back to the hood because AG from Patterson Project, just like me. So he told me, "Yo, Perce, Finesse is recording the album, his second album. He wants you on the song." So I wound up doing two songs. I did "Yes You May" first in Jazzy J Studio. So me, him, and AG, we dropped that, and then he's like, "Yo, I want you another song." I did "Kick and Flavor" with my man. So everything was all good. But actually, 1990, I was in a new music seminar. Finesse was in the new. I didn't know this, but Finesse mentioned it. I only knew this because of one of his interviews. He said that the day after he battled me, so the battle was July 13th, 1989. The day after that was the day that Lord Finesse went into the new music seminar. I didn't know that. Yeah, you could hear him in his interview saying, "Yeah, I just battled. He battled me like I'm just do practice, whatever." In his words, he said that was his hardest battle he ever had. He said that. He been in the music seminar.
Right.
That's his words. You can hear him say that in an interview with me. You know what I'm saying? But Yeah, man. But the 1990 New Music Seminar, I was one of the MCs in that battle. I lost. I don't know who beat me, but I lost the first round. I lost, but I know I ain't no spitting no wax shit. But I try to go a cappella, cast was rhyming off the beat, and I guess the crowd, you know what I'm saying? So I took an L, but it's all good. Ain't no love lost. But I met my man Maestro Fresh West rhyming in the cypher
Ah,
at the New Music Seminar, just in the hallway in the lobby, that people all over. Like I got a chance to redeem myself because like I'm rhyming in the cipher now. You heard me, like yo, son, you nice, yo. And he got my number. And then when I was quotable in the Source magazine, he already had my number. He contacted me because the Source, distributed magazine. So yeah, I see that quotable right there. You know what I'm
right.
saying? But yeah, May '92 issue.
Yeah.
And I think mine was probably like the first color one that I'd known.
Okay.
Because I think before that it was black and white, and then when mine came out, it was in color. I was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? But that was May 1992 issue of the Source magazine that had X Clan on the front
So
cover.
take
Page 17, Percee P, the hip hop
take
quotable.
me back to how you found out that you got hip hop quotable. Did you peel the magazine open one day? Did your friends come?
Oh, nah, Stretch Armstrong told me, because Stretch Armstrong was the A&R Big Beat record. That's how I got signed. When I rhymed on this show the first time with Lord Professor, Bobito used to work for Def Jam. He's doing promotion. He worked for promotion. Stretch with the A&R, a Big Beat. So both of them was like, yo, both of them gave me cards. Stretch got at me first. Like he called me the next day, like, Pete, man, yo, I'd love to you did your thing, man. I want to know, you signed. I said, nah, I made a record before. Y'all love to have a meeting with you. I'm the Big Beat. They gave me his card, and I went down there to call my DJ E Kim at the time. Yo, E Kim, yo, check it out. You know Big Beat Records? Y'all know that label? But they had big records on the
They
radio
had
at the
double X
time. They
double
had
X
this
posse,
group
right?
called before that, I'm talking about when I came down
Maybe.
there, they had songs on the radio, club
Oh,
songs though.
I
Like the
got you.
lady named
Okay.
Tara Kemp, they had a song called Just Wanna Hold You Tight. That was on the radio every day. And then it's this group called Jamanda. And you know what I'm saying? And she was like, that song was on the radio. Both songs. If people type up those songs, Jamanda had a song called Got a Love for You. You know what I'm saying? Both if you hear these songs, you know the songs when you hear them. These are like popular songs. So we went down to the label, and I brought E Kim with me, and we sat down there, and before we got seen, we listened to this cat play his beats, and the cat name is T Ray, producer, and he was playing tracks, and T Ray produced my song "Putting Heads to Bed," Long Collapsing Lips. Once he left, we was like, "Yo, did you did those?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, we got his number." So when I started recording my stuff, I asked him, "Yo, you got this beat for the James Brown sample that I used on Long Collapsing Lyrics?" He said, "Yeah, I got it." So I used that. He put in Heads to Bed. He also produced for Double X Posse, I'm Not Gonna Be Able to Do It beat. He produced tracks for Artifacts. A lot of people. He went on to like get Grammys and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I introduced him. I told Lord Finesse to contact him. And he did Yes You May remix,
Uh,
T-Ray. And he did the flip side of that. Part over here remix, he did that too. Yeah, and he did Back to the Grill again. He did that, and when we were down in Big Beat one time, Akinelli, he knew one of my cousins from Queens. He said always, my cousin, like my man, that's Percy P, that's my cousin. He didn't believe him. That's what Akinelli didn't believe me. He told me, I thought he was lying. He told my cousin was lying that I was family. So he called off the air, Stretch and Barbito show, and Barbito was like, "Yo, Percy, you got a phone call?" Because I used to be, if anybody listened to Stretch back in the days, I was a part of this show, and people don't remember this. I was a part of the show. It's called Percy P's Old School Corner. I don't. For those that go back that far, I used to play my tapes, but it used to be like after 4 in the morning. I didn't want to stay down there that
right.
long, so I did it for a while. But after I stopped staying down there because you leave out when the sun is coming up. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, you just play the tape. But that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Akinelli talked to me on the phone. Was like, "Yo, I want to meet you." And I said, "Come down to Big Beat," because my songs was coming out, but wasn't out yet. So I wanted him to hear like the 12 inch. Now anyone see me putting Heads Been Long Collapsing Lyrics. I'm actually single. So he came to the studio, to the radio, to the record company and bought Nas with him. So they was all, I was letting them listen to my stuff. And then, of course, we dropped some bars. And then T-Ray called, "Yo, P, yo, you still at the label? Yo, we need y'all to come to the studio, Chung King Studio. We need some verses. I'm in here with Search right now. He needs some hook, some people for the hook." So we all went down there with Stretch and the Stretch of the A&R. We went down there and we did the hook to his Here It Comes remix, MC Search. If you listen to that song, that's me, Nas, Akinelli, Gorilla, all of us singing the "Here It Comes, Here It Comes, Here It Comes,
Ah,
Here It Comes." We all singing
okay.
that and all of it. We don't need no water, let it burn. We did that. And then after we did the hook, he was like, "Yo, man, why don't y'all all drop a verse on this beat? Back to the grill." I dropped the verse. Nas, Akinelli, all of us dropped. See, but he's saying Nas didn't drop. He did record. He dropped something, but when it came out, I wasn't on the song. Akinelli wasn't on it. But you know, I ain't spitting nothing whack, and you ain't got to hear it. You don't really hear me. I ain't bragging, but trust me, it's politics before me spitting some whack. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that's how that went. And people still, I asked her, "Hey, what's up, man? Why don't you just put that out? You know what I'm saying? Just put it on the line. People want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So it's still, nobody really heard it. But he said he have it on a half-inch reel. That's what he said.
What's
So,
his reason? What's
and
his reasoning for not putting it out?
what's his reason? I don't know. I don't know. But he got it. That's what he
Maybe
said. He
we should
has it
all
and
flood his
something.
DMs after this interview and demand the release of Percee P's
He,
verse.
you know what? He actually mentioned all that. Like, if you go on my link on my Instagram profile, I put a playlist from my YouTube channel, and you see when Search was talking about this song. I put it on there. It's one of the videos in that playlist. So it's a lot of stuff, a lot of content. You see a lot of other artists. You see like you'll hear Lord Finesse talk about his song. You know what I'm about. To that Trespass soundtrack.
Yeah.
Knocking
Oh
music
yeah. Oh
off,
yeah.
knocking
Yep.
music out. Well, that's me and Big Al singing the chorus to that song. A lot of people probably didn't know that, but that's me and Big Al. But you hear Lord Finesse talking. I used that video when him talking, but it's audio of him being interviewed, and he mentioned that. So I thought people should know that. But people probably didn't know it, but it's better coming from him than me saying it. The Big L ain't here. But so I just put that there just so to put it out there. So I've been around, different artists and different circles of artists coming up, and that's how long I've been around. Just seen a lot of cats before they blew up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What